This week we're learning how to fight discouragement in our lives. For many of us, this holiday season between Thanksgiving and New Year's can be a very discouraging, very depressing time. And as a Jesus follower, that's not the kind of life you're supposed to live. You're supposed to live as a person who is encouraged and joyful and full of hope and full of peace, not a person who is discouraged. And so we're looking at an overview of the life of a man named Nehemiah, who as a young man grew up in captivity in Babylon, came back to Jerusalem as a leader, and when he got there, he discovered that his home city, Jerusalem, was just in a disaster. It had been abandoned. The wall, the defensive wall, had been torn down in many places. Many of the homes needed to be restored. The temple where they worshiped God was absolutely destroyed. And it was a very, very discouraging time in the life of Israel, but specifically in the life of Nehemiah. And he set about not just rebuilding the wall, but rebuilding hope for the people that he was in charge of. And one of the things he did, we talked about yesterday, was he chose to look at the weak spots and then reinforce those. That's the first thing you have to do to battle discouragement in your life, is be honest about your weak spots and then reinforce those. The second thing you have to do is a little bit simpler, and it might just sound so oversimplified that it doesn't even make sense, but sometimes the simplest thing, the simplest answer is the best answer. One of the ways that you can fight discouragement is choose not to be discouraged. Just make the choice not to be discouraged. And that sounds super simple, but actually the truth is discouragement is a choice you make. You are as discouraged as you choose to be. You are also as happy as you choose to be. You are also as close to God as you choose to be. You are also as focused on God as you choose to be. Life is all about the choices we make. And if you find yourself being discouraged in this season, it is probably because you have made the choice. I'm going to look around. I'm going to see the circumstances. I'm going to see my life. I'm going to see what's going on in my country, around the world. And my choice is to be discouraged by all of that. This is exactly what was happening with the people of Israel. They got back to Jerusalem, and they chose to focus on how bad things were, how destroyed the wall was, and how much it was going to cost, and how much time and energy and effort and sweat and blood it was going to take to rebuild the walls. And oh, by the way, while we're rebuilding, there are enemies all around us trying to kill us, trying to destroy us, trying to steal from us. And we don't have all the people we need, and we don't have all the resources we need. And the people were just focused on just how bad and how challenging and how difficult the situation was. And Nehemiah stood up in front of them, and he recognized how anxious and discouraged they were. And he literally said, "Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." And then he said, "Remember the Lord who is great and glorious." Nehemiah recognized that discouragement is a choice. Just stop being discouraged, Nehemiah said. Stop focusing on all the things that are wrong. Stop focusing on all the things that are bad. Stop focusing on all the things that need so much work. Stop focusing on how tired you are. Stop focusing on how distressing and depressing the situation is. Instead, make a choice to focus on God, who is great and glorious, who has everything we need, who is full of joy, who gives us peace. He's going to take care of us. When you refocus your mind to think about God's promises instead of thinking about all the things that can go wrong or all the things that discourage you, you have made a choice to step away from discouragement and step into hope. And that's my prayer for you today, especially if you're one that struggles with discouragement. Recognize it as a choice. Being discouraged is a choice you make. And today, you can be as discouraged as you choose to be, or you can be as full of hope as you choose to be. And part of the battle of fighting discouragement is just to choose to focus on what is good. Choose to focus on God and how He will take care of all the situations that have you discouraged. So today, let's listen to the words of Nehemiah. Do not be discouraged. Remember the Lord who is great and glorious. Bye.